Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. I hope you had a great weekend, and I really hope you're doing well. So it's been a little bit. I didn't see you last week. I was busy over on 80 After Dark getting everything kind of ironed out. So, but things are going good. Stay tuned after today's clips. I've got some news regarding the channel, but I can definitely wait till after. So let's just get into it today, guys. Let's see what we got. We are live.
You know who's behind all this, right?
Who's behind all this?
Coca-Cola. They are purposely polluting the water supply so that people have to stop drinking water and they can only drink soda.
What? Bro, you know like the main ingredient in soda?
Yeah, you know what, man? Maybe you're right.
Yeah, hi. I just had a question. So you come to our university, you claim to be an expert.
I've never claimed to be an expert. I've just read the data.
Okay, so please don't interrupt me. Okay, so Mr. Expert, if you're such an expert, then... Nope. I'm not gonna.
What are your thoughts on everything that's going on in the news right now? Yeah, I don't watch the news anymore. I figured out that consuming all that shit just always puts me in a bad mood, makes my outlook on the world terrible, and if I don't watch it, nothing in my life really changes. The world keeps spinning regardless of my knowledge of some plane crash or some scam.
Okay, so not smart enough to have conversation?
Definitely a point that can be made there.
So the other day I did a video about how we're never running out of water, we're never running out of oil, we're never running out of anything. It's abundant. It's all below us. And interestingly enough, when you get into pendulums and dowsing, you can find more on this because what you're doing is you're using a pendulum or a dowsing rod to find luminous rays. Everything spins, everything oscillates. And what you're doing is you're finding the spin of the oscillation of the water, of petroleum, of natural gas as well. All these things they make us pay for, they are all free and they are all below us. Here we go into salt, you go iron, coal, other bodies. Now what's interesting is dowsers were actually used to find water for pharmaceutical companies, medical companies, energy companies. So if all of this is not true, then why are the largest corporations in the world using dowsers to find all of this stuff, but then charging us when it's all free? So here's another one. This is petroleum. This is the one they always tell us we're running out of. Remember, they're telling us it's fossil fuels, dinosaurs, and all that other nonsense. But check this. Based on the spin, you can find if it's a liquid petroleum or you can find if it's gas petroleum. And it shows all of this and talks about what the pendulum will do when you're searching for petroleum.
I would like to get more into dowsing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So could you quickly explain to people that don't know, that do yoga, why they shouldn't and what it is?
Yeah, yoga is kind of a meditation. You sit in a certain posture to invite certain spirit realm. You think you are just exercising your body, but it's actually the tantra to go with it. Certain hand gestures mean certain goddess, like fire god or water god or whatever god they are inviting in. Many yoga classes, they ask you to make certain faces. Those faces really represent those goddesses. You are really entertaining the Hindu goddesses. Another thing, the word meditation I mentioned, yoga teaches you to meditate and empty yourself, less empty yourself, less empty yourself. The whole idea of empty yourself is because the Hindu worshippers, they don't understand what demonic realm is. They are still in the darkness. You leave it empty for the demonic realm to walk into your life, and you don't even notice, and you end up getting sucked into so many different things. But meditation in Christ-like life, if you would like to invite Jesus in your heart, then you meditate on his word. That means that you empty yourself, but you don't leave it empty. You straight away ask the Holy Spirit to move in your realm and recite the Bible verse you have thought about. For example, simple. Even if you say, Jesus, I trust in you.
I've been hearing a lot about how yoga is demonic.
I'm not making this up. Back in the day, they really made pocket sundials. This is the Ansonia Sun Watch from the 1920s. A normal sundial has to be specifically installed at a certain angle and calibrated to your latitude and longitude. So how could they make it portable? Well, look up the nearest city on the chart here. I'm near New York, so I'll go with that. New York says 40 degrees latitude, so that tells me how far to pull out the pointy thing. Then to get my angle right, I turn the compass to point north, but I adjust 10 degrees west because of the magnetic deviation from true north. Then read the edge of the shadow. It looks like right at 1 p.m. Then do what it says on the chart. I'm in New York, so I subtract 4 minutes to adjust my time zone. It's August 26th, so I add 2 minutes to adjust for the seasons. And it's daylight saving, so I add an hour. So I get 1:58 p.m. Actual time when I made the video, 2 p.m. on the clunk.
A little bit of math, but apparently it works.
The world will begin again.
Uh-huh. What else did you say?
Other people will come on the world.
Okay.
That's what I said.
Well, what was the other part?
What other part?
About everybody dying? What were you saying?
More people will come on the earth.
Okay. Why did you think that?
Because it's what the world begins like.
Oh.
When I die,
Uh-huh.
I will come back and I'll be a baby and I'll have a different name.
Okay.
And you'll have a different name.
Okay.
So that's what I said.
All right. Thanks, Pete.
It's what I have to say and it's sad.
Yeah, it does sound sad.
I had to say something sad.
Okay.
So that's why I just talked to you.
Okay, thanks, Pig.
You're welcome.
Okay.
It's a very profound thing for a 4-year-old to say.
Well, let's take a quick look at Stephen Hawking. I've talked a lot about how Stephen Hawking was not a real person. He was a character. And people say, how dare you, Big Bear? How dare you? When Dave Chappelle makes fun of it in 5 years, we'll discuss it. But this is an actual translation. Before his robot voice, he had a translator who looks exactly like Larry Bird. Tell me if you think that anything about this is real.
I think, in a way, physics has been a progress away from mysticism towards a rational understanding of the universe.
Stephen, when did you first realize you wanted to be a physicist?
I think I knew from about the age of 9 or 10 that I wanted to be a scientist. Most of my activities, like playing with model fireworks, or model railways, or playing complicated games, was aimed in some way at finding out how the world worked around me. I was never very good with my hands, and my models did not work very well.
Okay, guys, we can all see that this is not real at all. It was normalized by Han Solo and Chewbacca. As you can see there, on the left is Han Solo, and on the right is Chewbacca. No one understands the grunting and gurgling, but somehow Han Solo, with his he has the same haircut as Han Solo, and he's alleged to be a very handsome Larry Bird guy. There is no way that the gurgling, and this is why the internet changed the entire game with scams. Is back in the day, a lot of people were not exposed to people that treat people with ALS or a lot of these ailments. Ukrainian Bear is currently taking care of someone with ALS. We can talk to him right now. Is that possible?
I think that nowadays I have translated that into studying physics. It goes in the way.
The funniest guy by far is this guy, because I think he's watching this whole thing like, just don't point out that this isn't real.
I mean, I've thought this for a long time. I'm glad that somebody said something. What do you all think?
Very famous study done in Copenhagen. 100 normal individuals, 25 in 4 different groups. One group, 1 liter of sugared soda per day for 6 months. One group, 1 liter of diet soda per day for 6 months. One group, 1 liter of milk per day for 6 months. And finally, one final group, 1 liter of water per day for 6 months. The 1 liter of soda per day in 6 months gained 10 kilos. No surprise. The 1 liter of water per day lost 2 kilos. 1 liter of milk per day, no change. And finally, the key, the kicker to the whole thing, diet soda. The 1 liter of diet soda. What would you predict their weight would do? They gained 2 kilos. Why did they gain 2 kilos if they were consuming a liter of diet soda, which are 0 calories? The answer is because they still generated an insulin response.
100%. 100%.
Watch this. What does this mean? What does this mean? Why would they put this for everybody to see? And this is going really fast. So I slowed it down a lot so you could actually see all the words that pop up. Like they flash through there. What could this mean? Like they have this like speeding through. It's hard to catch all the words, so I slowed it down so you guys could all actually see all the words. It just baffles me that they would put this on something so big and significant where so many people see it.
Martian, eh?
See, that one was really hard to catch. This is a message that they're trying to put out to the world, to like everybody that's out here. I'm gonna make another video with that other part that had the longer sentences to show what that one said. I'm gonna slow it down for you even more, but just that part so we can actually read it. So stay tuned for that.
You know, sometimes I just feel like we're just one big experiment.
You tell me.
They just do this shit, they mess around with our minds, and yeah, a lot of us are just hypnotized, it seems like.
We are announcing the largest multi-state privacy settlement in U.S. history. I think all of us have had the experience of being in a store, a big box store, you're looking at something in a particular aisle, and then somehow, right, if you're looking at vacuum cleaners at Costco, I say that because I recently bought a vacuum cleaner at Costco, that somehow you get a vacuum cleaner ad on your phone. The problem is, even though I turned location history off, and even though the default is that it's off, Google was still collecting information about my precise location. They were doing that through another setting under their web and app activity. Web and app activity location settings by default are on.
I don't have social media, so this doesn't happen to me personally.
Signs that you may be alternative. Number 1, you've questioned why bread from the store has 117 ingredients when you only need 3. Number 2, you drink raw milk and are confused why it's even controversial. Number 3, you thought, do my kids really need to learn this in school? Number 4, you threw away your toxic cleaning products for natural alternatives like lemons, baking soda and vinegar. Number 5, you avoid tap water because you don't want to calcify your pineal glands. Number 6, when you're sick, you use herbs, honey, bone broth and fasting instead of taking pills. Number 7, you think that mainstream food has been poisoned and grow your own, or you dream about it. A lot. Number 8, you eat steak and butter, even though you know that cow farts cause climate change and that you'll have a heart attack and die tomorrow. Number 9. Instead of blindly believing what you see on the news or what the experts tell you, you use critical thinking. If 3 or more of these apply to you, you may be alternative and at risk of abandoning mainstream society to start a community farm. You need to seek help urgently, so comment yes.
I guess I'm amongst those who are like
In
that.
Japan, by law, every school has to employ a professional nutritionist.
Oh, God. Wow.
It's a serious qualification. It's 3 years on top of your teaching degree. And as the nutritionist, your job is to design the school meals, which have to, by law, be made entirely of fresh foods that are prepared on the day. You're not even allowed pre-processed paste in the schools in Japan. And then you've got to use those fresh, unprocessed meals, which contain all the main food groups, to educate the children about how to eat well, eat healthily. And it was so weird talking to these kids, because I was going around talking to them. I said to them, what's your favourite food? And one kid said, broccoli. I love broccoli. Okay. All right. Another kid said, white fish. I love white fish. And I was so thrown by this that on my phone, I pulled up, I just Googled British school dinners, right?
Yeah.
And showed them videos on, and I didn't choose the worst ones. It wasn't like the horror stories, just like the kind of stuff that I ate at school.
Yeah.
Right? They literally screamed. One of them said, oh my God, in English, right? And one girl, just complete puzzle, said, where are the vegetables? I said, there are no vegetables. She said, where's the salad? I said, there is no salad. I never once in school ate salad.
Even I don't eat vegetables.
So you'll be reading it, so it's not coming from my mouth. I'm not making it up. But the University of Nebraska just got done with their one of their studies that the way to save the world on carbon is raise more cows.
Okay.
And that's because cows are carbon negative.
Okay.
They produce more oxygen than they put off methane and carbon.
It means to eat more cheeseburgers or steaks,
more
right?
beef.
To save the world.
To save the world, right.
There you go. Thank you.
Get out there and be somebody.
Children born after 1980 are not expected to outlive their parents.
1980?
1980.
Bye-bye, Daniel. That's me.
Oh, I don't know why we've got more cancer. It's not one cause, one effect. We have done a number on our planet, especially in the last 150, 200 years.
What do you think are the biggest offenders?
Well, the biggest offenders, I call them the 3 big things that have happened since World War II. So more sugar in our diets than we've ever had. So in the 1850s, average of 5 pounds of sugar per person per year. Now it's 145 to 175 pounds of sugar per person per year. We just put it in everything. You can't even get toothpaste without sugar, right? It's like ironic. Number 2, we changed our farming and ranching practices in a big way. We've destroyed our soil. We've destroyed our topsoil from over-tilling. We've destroyed our minerals in the soil from over-chemicalizing, from monocropping. We've destroyed our animals from pumping them up with hormones to get them to market faster, pumping them up with antibiotics because we're cramming into completely inhumane environments. So all of these things have contributed. And then the third piece is the chemicals. So we have over 80,000 chemicals that have been introduced to our environment since the 1960s, of which less than a few hundred have been properly tested. And none of them have been properly tested in how they interact with each other. So we're swimming in a pool. We're fucked.
I mean, she's not wrong. It's kind of alarming.
4 times NASA said that the Earth was flat and non-rotating. The very first requirement for landing an aircraft is that the Earth is flat and non-rotating. This one's in the general equations of motion for a damaged asymmetric aircraft, rigid body equations of motion over a flat, non-rotating Earth. These are all on the NASA website, by the way. You don't have to search hard. There's tons of documents. I just grabbed 4 of them. Another one about aircrafts, it says this simulation assumes a vehicle with 6 degrees of freedom and aerodynamic symmetry in roll, and the missile position in space is computed relative to a flat, non-rotating Earth. This one's on how helicopters work. The helicopter equations of motion are given in body axes with respect to a flat, non-rotating Earth. If you still believe that we live on a globe, I don't even know what to tell you. TikTok, this is for entertainment only.
There's definitely a case that can be made if you are on the fence about it.
The bumblebee, when he starts to beat his wings, when he starts to flap his wings, there's a little cavity, a hollow cavity next to the larynx inside his system that's hollow. And when he beats his wings, he starts to resonate this energy, and it goes back and forth, just similar to a guitar strumming on one side of the room and hitting same chord on the other side of the room. Or somebody hitting a high C and breaking a crystal. It's the same thing. It's resonance. And he said what they do, they resonate. And when they resonate, they eventually reach the resonance of the field around them. And he explained it this way to me, that the Earth was, of course, spinning, but it was operating on a frequency of 8.5 hertz per second or so forth. And he says once this bumblebee hits that resonant frequency of its surroundings, it becomes a free agent. It creates a magnetic bubble around itself, and it can go anywhere it wants. And I said, well, that's not in any of the science books. He said, I know. You probably never see it there either, but that's what happens. They'll discover it someday and bring it out, that it's just we have a conventional way of doing things, and then we have a natural way of doing things, and they're totally different. They're diametrically opposed.
The important point here is the bees. As you've heard, the bumblebee shouldn't really be able to fly. Those wings are way too small to lift that chubby little body off the ground. In fact, it's a bit of a conundrum also for the mainstream scientists. They can travel in perfectly straight lines for long distances without any deviation, even during a howling crosswind. Because of the resonant frequencies produced by the vibration of their wings, they create a bubble in the ether, protecting them from any outside interference.
So essentially, they levitate, they don't fly.
You may all know this man. This man is called Nikola Tesla. And in my opinion, he's one of the brightest minds in the history of science. And he has worked on technologies which not only harvest electricity from the vacuum of space, but also to transmit it wirelessly across the globe for everybody to use freely. And just to quote him here, electric power is everywhere in unlimited quantities and can power the world's machinery without the need for coal, oil, or gas. Isn't that amazing? Well, unfortunately, his primary investor, called J.P. Morgan, he eventually found out that he could not profit from Tesla's ideas. So he simply cut his funding at one point, and Tesla died a rather poor man, and without the respect he actually deserved. Now, this is just a list of people who have worked on similar technologies, if you're interested and want to do your own research, and I'm just going to name 2 more examples of this list. Next is that of Stanley Meyer. You may all know of the possibility to run your car on hydrogen gas. You got the combustible mixture of oxygen and hydrogen. You burn it, it leaves you with excess power to run your car, and the byproduct of just tap water, H2O. Well, Stanley Meyer actually found out a way to use tap water as a fuel source by hitting the water molecule at its resonant frequency and thereby very effectively splitting the water in hydrogen and oxygen. And with this, he built a dune buggy with which he could drive from the east to the west coast of the United States on just 1 full tank of water. At one point, unfortunately, he went out to dinner with his investors. Yes, again, investors. And after sipping his cranberry juice, he grabbed his throat. He bolted out the door of the restaurant. He dropped to his knees and cursed that he had been poisoned. And this sounds like something straight from a movie, right? But it's actually real, and you can look up the details yourself. I'll just give one more example, that of an actual working device, currently in Switzerland. And to all you electrical engineers, this may resemble an electrostatic Wimshurst machine. Sounds complicated, but this one actually converts the ambient field energy, or radiant energy as Tesla would call it, into usable electricity. And the reason why Mr. Bauman has chosen not to disclose this technology is that he thinks humanity is simply not ready for it yet. And we may soon see why. So this leaves us with a very big question: what happened? Why are we not driving in water-fueled cars? Why are we not receiving electricity from the atmosphere or the vacuum of space freely? Peter Lindemann is an authority on the radiant energy Tesla was talking about, and he proposed 4 forces, actually. And the first being the banking system. And I know what some of you may think: oh, here comes that guy with that Illuminati conspiracy theory. No, we're going to leave that behind. So in a free market economy, everybody is free to earn as much money as they like, but only in the form of the dollar or the euro or whatever currency you have. So you're not going to be paid in gold anymore, for example. So if I would have a system with which I can raise my own capital without borrowing it from a bank, the control of this banking system is lost. So naturally, they do everything to stop this. You can even see this in current day technologies, like photovoltaics and wind turbines. They're already being regulated more and more because of their devaluating capacity. It's even on the cover of The Economist. It's not a big secret or conspiracy. And that brings me to the second force, national governments. Because governments found out that the true policy that actually works is called an eye for an eye. So it's constantly jockeying for influence in world affairs, and it's survival of the fittest, basically. So imagine when one nation or one party in another nation achieves the ability to generate their own power. The balance of power literally shifts from the government to that other nation or party within that nation. And everybody will want this technology, and at the same time, everybody will want to prevent the other from getting it. So to prevent this chaos, governments do something smart. They issue a restriction on any patent or invention that can give an opponent an advantage over the government in power generation. It's called invention secrecy, and it's still going strong, as the Federal Agency of American Scientists says. The third group is actually comprised of the deluded inventors, or fraudsters, if you will, which actually are only in it for the money. So the problem is most of these devices don't work. YouTube is full of them. And actually the first two forces use the worst cases of these people to promote the idea that every technology concerning this free energy is a hoax, is a scam. So nobody believes in it anymore. And then there's the people who actually have built a device that works, but they're still in it for the money. And then Shell comes to their doorstep and says, hey, here's a couple of $1 million, go live a happy life, but don't speak about your technology again. So what is a couple of $1 million to a $20 trillion industry anyway? Now, I'm really wondering if somebody from the audience can guess what the fourth force is. What is the fourth force that's preventing this tech from happening? Anybody has an idea? Consumers. Exactly. It's all the rest of us. It's you and me. Because you see, the incentives and the motives of the first three forces, they seem so selfish and so narrow. But in reality, we share those same motives. These forces are literally just different aspects of the same problem. It's a human one. It's the greed, and it's the fear of competition, and it's that want for power. So in the end, I believe that this revolution, it has to happen within our lifetimes. And either it goes horribly wrong, and we destroy ourselves in the process, or we as a people choose the green transition. And we can nowadays, because we have the internet to form a critical mass and spread the information, as opposed to, let's say, 20 years ago. So that's why I challenge you all to do your own research into this subject, if you are interested, and spread the word. Because it is up to us to develop this technology that is already there. And the first three forces are not going to help us with this. And I would like to close with this. The true basic need of every human, I don't think it's water, it's not food, and it certainly is not money. I think it's energy. And that is why my hope for the future is a world in which energy is free for everybody. Thank you very much.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there, and there's definitely some truth to what he's saying. And I can definitely get behind the idea of energy being free for everybody. I think there was a time when that was obviously the case. No reason we can't go back to that. But anyways, yeah. So, channel news, guys. Some really, really great news, actually. So, my second channel, 80 After Dark, has officially been monetized. It's growing really, really fast. You guys are absolutely loving it. Still a lot of you that haven't made it over there yet, so I really wish you would, because that's actually what's going to fund this channel here. So that being the case, I'm going to have to spend more time over on that channel as opposed to this one. So this channel will likely be a weekly upload. I don't know what day I'm going to stick to. I'm going to try to get 2 out on this channel every week if I can, but definitely 1 for sure. 2 to 3 over on After Dark. So, like I said, if you haven't been to After Dark yet, please, link is in the description. Subscribe to the channel, check us out, it's really fun. the Buy Me a Coffee app is still there, and if you like what I'm doing here and you want to make a donation, a one-time or as a monthly subscriber, link is in the description, and I appreciate everyone who does, as YouTube will not monetize this channel. So with all that out of the way, guys, I guess I will see you in the next one, and until then, 80 Canadian, signing off.